Welcome to Perez and Associates' first newscast. My name is Daniel Perez. I am the owner and operator of Perez and Associates. Now, bear with me. This is my first actual broadcast of a news, of being an anchor on a show. Anyway, this is episode number 1. Some things I want to speak about. Number 1, I want to shout out to Colleen Kitzer, who died as a math teacher in Massachusetts. That was very sad. Extremely, extremely difficult what happened to her. I really would like for the friends and relatives to understand that we don't know why children do what they do, but they do it. With the box cutter, it was really disgusting. Anyway, what happened, I did read that they used pink as the color for the clothing during the funeral. And you know, it's only right with a girl just as beautiful as she was, a 20-year-old math teacher. And I'm here in Connecticut, so we know what it feels like too at Sandy Hook. And I'd like to make a shout out to all the parents at Sandy Hook who lost their children as well. My wife is a teacher, and she inspired me to really talk about the first thing to talk about was Colleen Kitzer. We should all take a moment and bow down our heads and take a make a silent prayer for Colleen Kitzer. Should do that. Anyway. Alright. The first thing that I want to advise, or the first thing I want to talk about is Netflix. Again, that Colleen Kitzer thing really hurts. Anyway, alright. So, back to the news. First thing is Netflix. Netflix right now is not in limbo. They are out of their major problems. Netflix is a big company, and they're getting bigger. They're planning on adding 10% of more content on their streaming, as well as their DVDs, on their streaming application. And also, Comcast is now thinking about placing Netflix on their set-top boxes. It's pretty interesting. I have it in one of my articles in PerezandAssociates.com. You could check that out. It's pretty important. Another thing too is that Burberry. Now, Burberry is a good stock. It's it's a great stock. Burberry was doing well until Apple decides to say, "Hey, I'm going to acquire Miss Earnhardt. Miss Earnhardt, I don't know how to pronounce her name. I'm sorry. But Apple needs to understand that, Burberry needs to understand that it cannot survive on just 2 legs. Christopher Bailey is not enough for Burberry. Burberry was founded through nothing. They didn't have anything when they first started out. They made plaid the new trend. And when Miss Earnhardt, I don't know how to pronounce her name, forgive me, and Christopher Bailey teamed up together, they launched the biggest social media marketing campaign known to man. That's good. That's fantastic. Great. But where is Mrs. Earnhardt? She's gone. She's working for Apple. And that makes me think one thing, and one thing only, and that's what I want to talk about. What is Apple up to? Why are they doing that? Their designs are fine. What they're doing is fine. They're in multiple lawsuits, I know that, but why did they have to hire Burberry's Mrs. Earnhardt to make it more friendly towards consumers, or their retail outlet, or the outlets? They want to take their 400 retail outlets and redesign them and make them more friendly for the consumer. So they take Burberry's marketing director and says, hey, okay, let's use her and buy her, and pretty much let's go to Apple. Something's going on there. I recommend Burberry gone. No more. No more Burberry. You know what? I recommend taking out stocks out of Burberry immediately. Immediately. And I am serious when I say that. Immediately. Another thing, too, is that Burberry is, it's up in the air right now. You know, I mean, again, like I said, Bailey's running it. He has the knowledge, but does he have the power to control a multinational international company? Does he have that ability? I mean, think about it, investors. Does he have that ability? All right. Now, I don't have time to keep talking about that, but I do recommend, and I will keep you updated on various articles about what's going to happen to Burberry. Burberry needs to rethink their strategy. Let's put them to the side for a second. Another thing I want to talk about is Ubisoft. Ubisoft is a company that is known for their games such as Assassin's Creed 2, 3, Liberation, and now 4, Black Flag. Ubisoft, that was Ubisoft Montreal. Ubisoft recently decided to say, we don't want to put Watch Dogs out. Watch Dogs is a pretty big company, pretty big game that a lot of people were anticipating for PlayStation 4, which is coming out November 19th. Can't wait. Anyway, but Ubisoft is decidedly against it. They don't want to launch it. They said, we are going to launch this game, but now they're not going to launch this game. Alright, that's fine. Alright, don't launch a game. But, 20, 22, 29% of your stocks are going to fall in the middle. It's going to happen. Ubisoft, they have to rethink their strategy as well, and I would recommend taking those stocks out, maybe when watching the market, and then putting them back in later on. Another thing I want to talk about is, again, back to the original subject, was Comcast. Comcast right now is... Comcast at one time created a company that was similar to Netflix and was called StreamPix. StreamPix was supposed to be the next big Netflix for Comcast. Okay, I personally never heard of StreamPix. I personally never heard of did that. But now Comcast is quote unquote cuddling up with Netflix and saying, hey, maybe we should add a Netflix button on our set-top boxes. That's quite interesting for two cable companies to get together. Yeah, in other news, I like to talk about eBay. Some tips on eBay are to make sure that when you're selling on eBay, just read my article. I really like to talk about it on much more time. Another thing too is that's pretty much it for now. I would definitely, to recap, I would definitely watch Comcast stocks. I would watch Netflix. Netflix, I'm not 100% sure where they're going. They are increasing by 10%. They did increase by 10%, but do they have the ability? Does Netflix have the ability to make a partnership with Comcast, or is it the other way around? Does Comcast have the ability to make a relationship with Netflix? As Netflix stocks rose last week by 8%, Comcast sliding out. We don't know. But that's a little bit tidbit of news. Also, another thing I'd like to watch out for is Ubisoft. Ubisoft, they have to do something about this upcoming game, which is Watch Dogs. Without Watch Dogs, their stocks really went down. Anyway, that's about it. This is the first episode, and you will see me again in various environments. Obviously, this is one of our jewelry stores, but and in the next broadcast, I was speaking about gold and other companies as well. I would like to again make a shout out to Colleen Kitzer's family, and the interesting fact that they wore pink to the funeral. I am Daniel Perez of Perez and Associates, and we have other members as well, which you will be seeing throughout our episodes. And I'd like to thank my audience for listening. And remember, watch Burberry, watch Netflix, and watch Ubisoft.